So now that Mike has gotten your attention and that you're well fed, it is now 8:10. I think we'll be out by about 11 o'clock, so we'll be in good shape. Worry not. Anyway, it is really my honor now to introduce and bring up our next honoree. And our next honoree is one of CED's very own trustees. He's an exceptional leader with a diverse background, and it's none other than my good friend Carl Camden, the CEO of Kelly Services. So the Kelly table, hold it down. Okay. Have to, hold up a second. No. I've got 30 minutes of Carl Camden. I know. So Carl has been the CEO of Kelly since 2006. He joined the company in 1995. Prior to that, Carl was a senior vice president and director of corporate marketing for KeyCorp, which all of you know is, I hope, the bank holding company in Ohio. And he previously served as co-president of Weiss Advertising in Cleveland and was co-founder and co-owner of the North Coast Behavioral Research Group. Carl was also an associate professor in communications department at Cleveland State, and that's really what I've described as a diverse background. He's an academic, he's a business leader, and he's a CEO, and importantly, he is one of CED's most active trustees. And he's really quite a committed partner to a number of organizations. Quite notably, Carl joined prominent business, labor, and public policy leaders, including the CED, as a founding member of the Better Healthcare Together, a coalition urging fundamental reform of the American healthcare system. He is also one of my favorites for the following reason. He is the chairman of the Detroit Board of Directors of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago. He also serves on the boards of the Detroit Regional Chamber, the Detroit Medical Center, and the University of Detroit Mercy. So Carl, one might ask, how do you do all of it? And he's going to come up and tell us in just 1 minute, because he's clearly got an incredible amount of energy, enthusiasm, and conviction. And so for all of these reasons, it gives me great pleasure to say that I look forward to welcoming you, Carl, as the CED's next co-chairman as of January 1st. So give him a round of applause for that, please. And Carl has already had an important leadership responsibility working with Beth Brooke on our membership and nominating committee. So I'm looking forward to having him join us. So with all of that, let me take a moment to welcome Carl to the stage. He's already come to the stage. He's gotten his award. He just doesn't listen, so this is going to be a great partnership between me and Carl. Anyway, Carl, it's really a pleasure to give you the Excellence in Public Policy Award, so thank you very much. You need to say a word. I've got to help Carl along here. He doesn't know he's supposed to say a few words, so Carl, please.
Thank you. "70 years ago, the country was in the midst of industrializing for World War II, was stepping back from the edge of what had been the greatest depression, the economic recession of all times. The recovery was fragile, the debt that the country was amassing was huge, and a group of business leaders came together looking forward not to what were they going to do in the next year to fight the war, but how were they going to build a system of financial stability that would ensure that the world again never entered World War II, that the economic causes that led to the rise of fascism, the economic deprivation that caused misery and desperation in millions of people could be avoided, and that group came together and formed the Bretton Woods Accord, which provided the underlying foundation for economic prosperity for the United States and much of the industrialized world for the following 70 years. That group was the Committee for Economic Development. Today we sit at the edge of what had been now the greatest recession since the Great Depression. The recovery is fragile, the debt is high, and we again need to step forward as an organization to provide the way out, to provide database, fact-based solutions for the country. The chore has been made more difficult by the election cycle that we have just come through. I have never seen in all of my time an election cycle as vicious, as devoid of fact, as emotionally based as the one that we've just come through, and that includes the 1972 when we were fighting our way out of the social unrest as a country that we had achieved. And along the way in this cycle, something new happened, which is that the business community took a lot of collateral damage. If we had all had $1 for every time we heard the phrase "fat cat CEO," we could have made a big dent in the national debt. Our motives were impugned. The assumption was that we cared little for the country, that we cared only for maximizing the bonus of any one particular year. It is time for the CEOs to step up, and the challenge in front of CED, I believe, is greater in terms of our need to take not just effective studies, not just the development of effective solutions, but to be a loud voice in a shrill environment that doesn't particularly welcome studied thought. It's a tough challenge. And it is one that I think that we can do, but as CEOs, we need to step back from our fear of being the latest target in the political whack-a-mole game. Yes, I understand if we stick our heads up, we risk a chance of getting beaten. But at this time, more than any other, the U.S. political system needs us to call out policy discussions that are not fact-based. It needs us to put together studied comments instead of the soundbite. And I am so excited to serve with Roger as co-chair of CED because there is no other business group, and Kelly belongs to them all. But in my opinion, there is no other business group that can combine the ability to be a loud voice in a time when it is difficult to be heard with the solutions the country needs for long-term fixes to our economic stability, because only by improving fundamental American competitiveness will we have the funds to make certain that everybody can participate in the American dream, that nobody is denied access to a chance because of their background or because of their economic conditions they were born into. And the challenge is great. The CED community, I believe, is well positioned to play a role as great as we did 70 years ago. This is an exciting time, and I thank you all for supporting this very fine organization.